Very good. It was a close call. You didn't see me here now. I was so close of falling asleep. Food coma after the lunch. You would have been wondering, it's like, where's Ajahn Mudito? Somebody comes knocking on. Wow. Good. Oh, where are we? Burn. Let's wait for 1 hour. After the next meditation, and then if you could. Yeah. La la la. Okay. Does anybody have any questions after lunch? Life, the universe. Where did you come from? Where you're gonna go? Where's the tablet? Oh, you got you took the tablet, yeah. Very good. We can continue with the Eightfold Path. We're going into the... Yes? Okay. Ajahn, can you please explain what is meant with not intentionally killing living beings? Just trying to understand how it relates to, or not relates to being a vegetarian. Yeah, the intentional killing, it is literally what it means, that when you're killing, you are terminating something with yourself. So if you don't, you either... There's different ways. You either don't give the order. You can give an order to kill somebody, something, whether it's even you kill an order, kill that ant, then you are doing that act of killing. Or let's say with the food, even if it's it's killed for you, so to speak, and then it's like intentionally that it's actually. That's part of that killing. So even for us monastics, so let's say you offer as a Christmas ham, and you tell us, oh, I went to the slaughterhouse this morning, or yesterday rather, and we killed it for you because of my sake, and then we couldn't accept it as a monastic. So that's how it relates to killing. So you order it killed. It's being killed directly because of you. You shouldn't be. This is sort of goes perhaps quite close, that you shouldn't, as not so much for lay people, but you shouldn't, like as a monk, you cannot just like ask, bring me meat or fish or all these. But these were considered like fine foods. But it goes really close to that idea of killing. You as a. What happens is, as a layperson, you are removed from that act of killing. So there is meat in a shop, and the meat will be there nonetheless, whether you buy it or not. So it's sort of like you're removed from that act of killing. Perhaps the argument is that you're contributing towards slaughtering animals because you're buying meat. But what the Buddha said, these kind of things, they won't stop. Even though it's like you're stopping eating meat, in a sense that you are sort of like contributing to it, but you're not creating bad karma by simply buying meat which is available. The animal was killed already, and you bought the meat, but you are not a killer per se. So yes, we always recommend to be, if you can, be vegetarian and vegan. I'm not I was a vegetarian for 11 years, and these days it just doesn't seem to be suitable for my body. I have to eat a little bit of meat, and it's available, so I take it. I don't take it as a stain for myself, but if you can, please, it's a good idea to be a vegan or vegetarian. But there's many things in life, and quite often it's more dangerous what comes out of your mouth than what goes in your mouth. So you can do a lot more harm with your speech, with your words, whether you act, whether you do. So in that sense, like you actively do a lot more harm or good with your speech than with what you eat. Quite often we are not contributing into the killing sense. Okay, well the coffee came, good. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to ask for it. Just here. Yeah, so it looks like that's broken. It's been unscrewed. Oh. See, that's all right. That's good. Thanks. Maybe bring in. You want a coffee? Are you good? Okay, that's good. Otherwise, you can have a second cup. Okay.
Sometimes you buy in the supermarket sauces, and they say got the red wine, white wine. Is it against the 5 precepts?
Yeah, well...
It's cooked anyway.
Yeah, it's cooked. I mean, the thing is, as you know, like when you cook alcohol, you alcohol evaporates very easy. So even if you're... if you make... the Buddha said even as a monastic, if you take something and it's like, even if there's a traces of alcohol, but you don't taste it, so to speak, it's fine to eat it. And or you can say that, okay, well, I know in a sauce it tastes like red wine, but it's been boiled. But then it's like, so as there's no alcohol, so then there is no offense there. So in that sense, it's sort of like, it goes in the same way, like, does it affect your mind? When you take alcohol, it affects your mind, but if you take something, it tastes by alcohol, but it doesn't affect your mind, well, then there is no offense there. And then it perhaps goes into a little bit, let's say you would take some herbal medicine, which would be, the herbs would be seeped into alcohol, which they do quite often. But you're not taking to get intoxicated, and you're taking in small amounts, so it tastes like alcohol, and if you would take too much of it, perhaps you could get drunk, but you're not taking enough for the field effects. Yeah, so alcohol is that's how it's considered. Question 3. I'm not sure how this question goes, but it reads, so it's basically about feeling relaxed so you can reflect more effectively. I don't remember now, that's like what I talked about that, but reflection, that's with the feeling more relaxed with the reflection, with the I'll leave that one. I'm not, like I said, I was in food coma 5 minutes ago. My brain is not working yet. Is there anything else that comes up it's good to ask about these questions. Yes, let's, who's got the microphone? Leha.
I just thought about the relaxation and mindfulness.
Relaxation and mindfulness, about that question came to your mind, right? Relaxation and mindfulness, sure, it talks about reflection there, but mindfulness, yeah, it is mindfulness is sort of like I would put it this way rather than relaxation and mindfulness. Yes, you do feel relaxed when you're more mindful and this kind of reflective attitude, but it's more about wisdom, why you're doing certain things. So wisdom and mindfulness always should go hand in hand. And even with the reflection, we talked about these anusatis, this kind of, you're contemplating something, it brings about, because the interesting thing in Buddhism, when we say something about wisdom, what is wisdom? Wisdom is compassion, for example, is wisdom. Feeling, generosity is wisdom, or those kind of things. So wisdom and reflection go more in hand. It's not just about relaxing, but with meditation and relaxing, that it's usually a good sign if you feel more at ease afterwards instead of feeling more irritated. And then So be careful with that. If you meditate and you just feel more and more angry about that, just like, oh, I'm just wasting my time again, and there's a lot of pain in my body, and that's not a good sign about meditation. Eddie had his little hand up.
This is regarding alcohol, and the 5 precepts. I'll share with you the story, Okay. When I first took the 5 precepts, that was in Malaysia. Yeah. So my job involves like I was general manager, like entertainment, all these things, So there was one evening when there was among the Japanese people, all these things, and then normally I'll take soft drinks. He said, oh no, put in sake, and then kampai, bottoms up, So what I did was I had no choice. I just drank a little bit.
You didn't have a choice, are you sure?
No, in such a, And then that night I felt guilty, The next morning I drove to the temple, There's in Brickfields Temple, Kuala Lumpur. There's Venerable K. Sri Damananda,
Brickfields.
Yeah, Brickfields Temple, yeah. So I said, we call him Chief. I created a sin, Then he said, what sin? I told him I drank, and then he laughed at the thing, He told, listen, what he told me. 1 or even 2, just for social purposes, it's okay. It's only when you drink and then you get drunk and you beat your wife and children, then that's bad. Then after that, like even go to the Cocos, my niece, sometimes they take me, the Bloody Mary, all these things. This thing. So what? I take it, Yeah, it's not making me drunk, or I'm not driving, or what the thing. No problem to me. This is to me. I don't know how. And some you can argue. Oh no. That's fine.
Yeah, look. Keshri Dhammananda is he was a very prominent teacher, and make that as the temple in KL, the Brickfields Temple is a famous temple. And he was one of those first Sri Lankan monks who went to Malaysia, and really prominent teacher. Look, he was putting you at ease, so he was using skillful means. So I would say the only problem with that is sort of like if you continued being a drinker afterwards. So you just sort of like, if he would have said, once off and it's done with, and it's like, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. But if he continues that, you were like, well, I can drink a little bit, it's fine.
No, I don't drink. Like now, I don't drink for years, all these things. I don't purposely go and drink, I don't enjoy it. Among companies, socially, these things, they're all drinking, all these things. You can't be just like an unsociable, just a little bit, after, just join in. That's fine. I'm not going to drink 10 drinks. Just a little zip or anything, just to that's fine, to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't hear us really saying that. You never like Ajahn Brahm says this, like, well, look, you can say a little lie, it's fine. I killed a little bit, it's not a problem. If you just kiss your neighbor's wife because you like her, it's like, it's okay. It's not a sexual misconduct, really. You just sort of like, you set a limit or you don't. I was like, we sort of say just follow the rule. And it's part of it, it's quite nicely one time somebody asked a very similar question from a very prominent teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. And it was an old elderly lady, because they have the temple in France. And this lady was going to his place, and he said, "Look, I'm an elderly lady. This is just in France. And you drink, right? You take a glass of wine with the dinner. What's the big deal? And look, I've been doing that since I was almost a child." And so he asked him from the monk. And he said, "Look, it's not just you drinking. It's also you setting an example." Eddie, you're setting an example.
Oh, well, whatever.
Whatever. It's not whatever. No. So what he was saying that you are a grandmother, right? It was for this lady. Look, you're a grandmother. You set an example for your children and your grandchildren. If grandmother drinks, it's fine. Yeah. So, but if you, as this lady is like, you as a grandmother just said, no, I'm Buddhist, I don't drink. You're setting an example for your children and grandchildren. Perhaps you don't have that problem with not having grandchildren, but I thought it was a good answer what he said, what he gave. And it's sort of like I remember some lady came to me and said, look, I was a smoker, I've been smoking always, and my children smoke now, and she felt guilty about it. Would you feel guilty if you thought, you sort of example showed to your children smoking is fine? What kind of mother would feel okay if their children smoke?
I think it'll be a good mother if he's open-minded, just a little thing, not just say you can't do this, can't do that, you make it worse. And also just one more thing. Just one more thing.
No, I'm just saying that
Most important is the teaching, the teaching.
Yes, no.
The teaching is most important.
Yeah, but we differ in opinions, but we can take. I know what you're saying, Eddie. But the next question, please.
Ajahn, this is a bit off topic from the suttas, but I'm an aged care support worker, so I go around to people's homes, elderly people, assist them with their independence to stay in their homes, and occasionally I work with dementia clients, and in our training we're basically taught to lie to them.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah.
For example, if they're, where's my mum? I'm missing my mum. And we'll say to them, okay, I'll help you look for your mum. That's a lie, but interested in your thoughts on that.
Yeah, again, is there sort of, what do you call, lying? Is it lying? Is sort of like where you're coming from? I'm sure you can word it differently. It says like, look, like you in your mind is like, okay, well, we're looking for mom, and you can think of like, well, maybe we evoke mom's ghost to come and help this person. Look, it's sort of like it's almost like, let's say you tell a lie. You tell a joke, and everybody knows you're telling a joke. You're not deceiving others intentionally. I think the microphone is a bit too hot. There's a feedback. So it is like where you're coming from. That what matters. So with you as well, like you don't tell, look, your mom is dead, because then it brings anxiety. That's the reason why you tell them. In this example, you just said, "Oh, let's go and walk around. Let's see if we can find mom." But for them, but in your mind, you're thinking it was like we are looking for a peace with this client. We're not looking actual mother, and so again, it's not really lying. If your partner comes from getting a hair done, and you go like, you refrain telling the truth. It's not lying. It's just like, okay, you went to barber. Nice, good for you. So it's like, what constitutes lying? It's just sort of, it's a bit.
Okay, rebirth is linked to karma.
Yeah.
And I've been told that sort of karma is when you're reborn, you've got habitual tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be scared of spiders or heights or whatever.
Yeah.
And in your next life, you'll also be scared of spiders and
heights. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
And I'm just wondering how that sort of ties in with what you just taught this morning.
Yeah, well, how would it tie? In that sense, you could just sort of like, is it wrong? Because we talked about this speculation, what I was and whether I was this and that. So you could like sort of think about it as like, I don't think it's that kind of speculation. This kind of speculative views are what goes into this kind of like you cannot just sort of settle that, be at ease with it. It's like perhaps there is rebirth, and even if you don't believe it 100%, you're okay with it, instead of like, I'm not gonna become a meditator or Buddhist before I have the answer for this, because otherwise you would never end up becoming a meditator, because so I'm not sure if I'm answering which part of to tie in, but it seems to be that there is something to that even phobias continue from life to life. But whether it's actually that you were dropped from great height and therefore you are afraid of heights, I never remember anybody speculating that. But it is interesting that there may be habit, like Ajahn Brahmali always says when somebody asks him, why are you a monk? And he said, maybe it's just a habit of mine, maybe I was a monk before and then I just continuing. So kamma and habit are, like you have to think about kamma as like these kind of big things, like you're human, and your kamma is really, it's all sort of gearing towards you being a human again. It's not that there's a certain like lot of things that you are male, or you're now Australian, that you sort of, that becomes your kamma. It doesn't work that way. So it's sort of like a habit, but habits, they seem to also continue. So it seems to be that from the near-death experiences that people who, when you die at a certain place, you seem to be drawn to getting reborn in that place. And this is an anecdote more from the rebirth stories, but
yeah, Ajahn Brahm also mentioned in a story that a comedian was a comedian in a previous life in one of his stories.
Sorry, it was a
comedian in his previous
comedian,
life as
yes. Or actors, comedians,
or a musician.
Yeah, musicians, all kind of like, exactly, a monk.
Yeah.
Being a Dutch who likes to come to Australia, I don't know. Going towards the same families even. It's more like that, yeah. Good. All right. Yes. Let's continue a little bit. Not too long, because then we're going to have a meditation again. Views and discussions about permanent essence. Now, one who says experience is my permanent essence should be told there are three kinds of experiences: pleasant, painful, and neutral. Which of these three do you consider you to be your permanent essence? When pleasant experience is felt, no painful or neutral experience is felt. When a painful experience is felt, no pleasant or neutral experience is felt. And when neutral experience is felt, no pleasant or painful experience is felt. Pleasant experience is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, bound to decay, to vanish, to fade away, to cease, and so too are painful experience and neutral experience. What? We have one page at a time. So brilliant, somebody's... So anyone who is experiencing pleasant experience thinks, this is my permanent essence. This is my permanent essence. Must at the cessation of that pleasant experience think, my permanent essence has gone. And the same with the painful neutral experience. Thus, whoever thinks, experience is my permanent essence, is contemplating something in the present life that is impermanent, a mixture of happiness and unhappiness, subject to arising and passing away. Therefore, it is not fitting to maintain experience is my permanent essence. But anyone who says, okay, experience is not my permanent essence is, only it does not experience anything. Should you ask, if your permanent essence had no experience at all, could it existence be known to itself? To which they would have replied, no. Therefore, it is not reasonable to maintain. Experience is not my permanent essence. My permanent essence is but has no experience. very close to being the idea of soul. And anyone who thinks experience is not my permanent essence is and does not experience anything. Only my permanent essence performs the act of experiencing, that is its nature, should be asked, well, if experience absolutely and totally ceased, could its existence be known to itself? To which they would reply, no. Therefore, it is not tenable to maintain experience is not my permanent essence is, and it does not experience anything. My permanent essence performs the act of experiencing, for that is its nature. From time when a meditator no longer regards experience as the permanent essence, or that the permanent essence is only does not experience anything, or the permanent essence is and it does not experience anything, only the permanent essence performs the act of experience, that is its nature. From that point on, they cling to nothing in the world. Not clinging, they are not agitated by anything. And not being agitated, they gain personal liberation, and they know rebirth is finished. The whole life has been fulfilled. Done what had to be done. There's nothing more here. If anyone says the mind is permanent essence, that is not reasonable. The appearance and disappearance of the mind are discerned, and since its appearance and disappearance are discerned, it would follow my permanent essence appears, then it disappears. That is why it's not acceptable for anyone to say the mind is permanent essence or the soul. If anyone says mind objects are permanent essence, mind consciousnesses are permanent essence, experience is the permanent essence, wanting or will is the permanent essence, these things come and go, which is why it is not reasonable for anyone to say mind objects, mind consciousnesses, experience or wanting is the permanent essence. Thus the mind is not permanent essence. Mind objects, mind consciousness, mind contact, experience and wanting, all these are not permanent essence. It would be better for the uninstructed worldling to take as the permanent essence the body rather than the mind. Why? Because this body lasts for up to 100 years, even longer. But that which is called mind, chitta, mentality, mano, or consciousness, vijnana, arises as one thing and ceases as another all the time. So just to explain, and without going too much back into that, like different permutations, it's interesting that the Buddha goes these kind of different permutations where how people speculate at the time of the Buddha. Well, like, where is the self? Like, what does the self mean? And obviously the main idea at the time is like the consciousness is like a stream, and when you die, you go back into that. The consciousness goes back into the stream of consciousnesses, and there's like this all-pervading big consciousness maybe, and then you can get from there, you get these like trips and drops to people, and you don't just get, perhaps you don't get one trip to you, you could get like many trips comes to you and makes you. That was perhaps the main idea at that time. These days we have quite a fixed idea of that there is mind, there is self somewhere, it's experience and therefore I am, or there's an idea that there is a soul. It's not really experiencing anything or doing that much, but I'm sure there's soul, or the soul is just experiencing, but it is independent. All of these different kind of permutations, however you want to look, that the Buddha says, no, that's not, it cannot be permanently self, or like you can find as like pinpoint there is self there. And then I like that one the Buddha says here at the end that, look, it's actually better for you to say this, like, who are you? And you say, this is who I am. My body is me. Because that's actually lasting a long time. Whereas mind, you hear something, and then on top of that, you start getting the will, a little bit of changing to what you hear, and then it goes into the seeing, and then you're like, something else happens, and it's like the mind is changing all the time. if you look at start looking at your mind, it's constantly changing, constantly changing. And it's clouded by things like feelings or willing yourself to be seeing something which is not there or seeing a certain way. You start seeing it's like, it cannot be the mind. But we can still, somehow it is easier for us to say, well, I know the body is not mine, but the mind is mine, or it's not me, but the mind is me. But that is actually what the Buddha was saying. It's like, no. Actually, just say that's like, it's wiser for you to say, the body is self. If you want to find self somewhere, look at your toenails. When you're cutting off next time your toenails, you're cutting off a little piece of yourself. Unfortunately, it's very, you should cry when you're cutting the toenails, or you go the next time to the barber shop. Self of me is now disappearing. But it's actually what the mind is. It's difficult to see that the mind doesn't belong to you. But the key thing there is that permanent essence. There's like, it's ever changing all the time. And then because of that, you can start breaking it apart, like slowly. You see it comes as a one thing, ceases as another all the time. So where is the self? It cannot be self. Okay, it's 12:30. Let's take a little break again and then continue. 10-minute break. We're getting close to the end of the meditation again. One more time. Observe the mind. What is the quality of your mind? Is it tired? Is it confused or bored? Can you not push away that mind state? Can you be at ease with it? Then breathe again mindfully in and out. Look at the breath for 3 more times, going in and out of your body, and then that ends the meditation. Very good. Okay, any questions about how does the mind appear? How do you see your mind? I see my mind needing more coffee. Is it? Okay, works. Okay, question. Please give some advice for maintaining a good spiritual friendship to help us along the path. Maintaining a good spiritual friendship is easy if you're in Perth. You come to the Buddhist society full of good spiritual friends. If you don't have Buddhist society at Western Australia, especially in the places where you don't really have what you consider good teachers who you can or can trust, it is difficult. I do acknowledge that. We have good resources, perhaps like things like online, but it's not as good as meeting people in person. Spiritual friendship, really, the Kalyanamitta, what the Buddha advises is, it is those people who are further in the path. So to maintain those is look for people who have higher virtue, and they understand the Dhamma in the sense that it's just Dhamma is not to be something to be. It is really it's Dhamma you should put in a high respect, but you don't hold it as you don't like beat things down with the Dhamma. Dhamma is there to have to gain release from the world. It is something not to be used as a weapon. Dhamma is not to be something to be used as which is surprising that some places they do. I know, for example, in Burma, they use Dhamma as a weapon. Completely wrong way of using it. I know even in some places in Sri Lanka, some of these monks who go into politics, it's a wrong way of protecting Dhamma, protecting the sasana. They're actually doing harm to the sasana, to the monastic order, to the teachings. So going back to the idea of spiritual friendship, to maintain it is really to seek their companion, to spend time with them. That's how you keep with the spiritual friends. Do I want to explain too much about it? Anyways, I think it's actually quite fascinating to see how we always want to hold on this idea of self, and how like different kind of explanation we are willing to give. Like, I'm sure there's self somewhere there. But leaving that aside a little bit, I wanted to say that there's Bhante Gunaratana has a really nice things he says about mind. The mind is like an onion. It goes like onion, like what you eat, you cook with the onions. But its mind is like that. It goes with on, and there's I in the middle. Onion. And the nice thing about the onion, it's the same way. When you're peeling the onion, it makes you cry. When you're peeling this idea of self as self, it actually does sort of like you start like, I've been holding into something for endless, countless lifetimes, and I've been holding on to this idea of like permanent essence. And like while you start peeling the onion apart, it's just layers of things coming apart like onion, and it makes you cry while you're peeling it. But in essence, there's like you go into the center of onion. What's there? Oh, nothing here. There is I in the middle. You find it's there. Find it. Yep. Oh, Eddie wants to say something.
Ajahn Mudito, don't you think understanding, us understanding how our mind works, is the most important part of Buddhism. Knowing it, how it works, okay, we are in control, of it. Not knowing, it leads us, we don't know what's going on, all these things, Knowing this thing, okay, how do I feel this? What I call the disturbing emotion.
The point is,
from the
you're
mind,
not in control.
Huh?
You're not in control, Eddie.
Huh?
That's the point. You are not in control. You are not in control, Eddie.
Why?
Because there's no self. It is a conditioned being. Whatever conditions come before, that what controls you. Don't think that you become wise in a sense that you can control all of this.
No, what I mean, you're in control of the process, how you feel.
No.
Knowing it, just one moment. So it's good to you said for me, whenever I have any disturbing feeling or emotion, it's from my mind. This happened, this thing.
Yeah.
Then that's what I mean, control. Then I know. That's for my mind. That's what I mean. I'm in knowing it. I mean, in brackets control. I'm in control of it. But not knowing. Why do I feel this thing? Or you go to see the doctor. All these things. All the things. Nothing wrong with it. They give you all the tranquilizers to take. So knowing it, this thing, it's half the battle won. I talked to Ajahn Brahm before. It's half the battle won already, don't you think?
Did you talk with Ajahn Brahm or you gave him the answer?
Huh?
Did you talk with Ajahn Brahm or you told him how it is?
No, last time I tell him, he told me like because you're talking mind again now.
Yeah. No, I mean
mind. So I'm talking about mind now.
Yeah. You are in the right tracks, absolutely. I mean, I know what you're saying, Eddie, but the idea here is that not to be too much in trying to idea that we're really talking about the core things like there is no permanent essence, there is no really self there. So you are fighting, so to speak, or you are trying to understand something which is not in reality there anyways. So the better things is just, Eddie, just to drop it. Whatever these ideas come to your mind, don't start messing with it, because quite often you think, I have wisdom, I know now how to work with myself now. What are you doing?
No, the problem with the mind is you have a problem. The problem is you. You're suffering. There's something not right. Which your mind don't agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, true. It is true that the wisdom arises. The wisdom comes from the practice, absolutely. And then you start understanding. It's like, there's these things arise, they come and go, and I don't, not to make too much of it. And it's not like permanent essence, and I'm always going to be like this, and all those big worries. That's the second arrow that comes in the mind, that as if there is self in there.
Not big words. It is the actual situation you're feeling. You're feeling something which is not right happening to you. Something which is bothering you.
I know.
Not big words.
Even then, I mean, again, I personally feel that it's better not start messing with it. Don't start actively engaged with it too much. Just don't trust your thinking mind. Don't trust your thinking to begin with. No, Eddie, But
it's bothering you, and that's what the Buddha told us.
Try to drop it. Don't trust it. As fast as you can, Eddie. That's the best way. Honestly, that is the best way. Don't, because what happens, honestly, deep inside when you're doing that, is just sort of, it's almost like you try to oversmart yourself. You cannot do that, Eddie. It's you there to begin with. It's like it's like thought comes to you. They're your thoughts, and then you're just sort of like, I think myself out of my own thoughts. It's like the dog chasing its own tail. Only thing you can do, that's what Ajahn Brahm says, that there's no free will, but there's free won't, where it's just sort of like, I'm not engaging with that. Don't trust your thinking. Again, it's difficult to see, but it's good to discuss about these things. But the best thing is, don't get involved. Don't trust your thinking mind.
No, I acknowledge all these things. I'm learning to all these. No, it's good to have a discussion like that, Yeah. Okay, thank you, anyway.
Yeah. Eddie needs a one-on-one session with Ajahn Mudito.
He can tell Ajahn Brahm how it is. Yes, next question.
With a shout out to Clear Mountain Monastery in Seattle, I learned a meditation from their online teachings 2 weeks ago. Well, not learned, but was reminded of the elements, meditation on the elements. And the suggestion there was, if you're meditating on the elements, say earth, fire, or variations of, it's very hard to find a self in that, like my earth, my fire.
Yeah.
And I found that very effective.
Right.
So I thought I'd share that.
Oh, good. I could see that. Yeah. It's hard to say, like, yeah. That it's like, there is, air in somewhere, and it's like, does this belong to me? And then you just, in that sense, you dismantle that, exactly. Or you can look at this, like, when you look at taking the body apart, so to speak, you neutralize the body. It was like, am I my liver? I was like, no, it's not that. Okay. You can go through the different body parts even. There's different ways, and it's like, it's nice to see that. I like to use the word that you neutralize things. Yeah. And it's, by neutralizing, it's not like you're pushing away or holding it. It just becomes this kind of like, no, I see, it's not a big deal. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Right. Okay. How did we got here? Oh, so when you wise contemplations, right? So so you don't think that there is self anywhere. So what do you contemplate? An awakened one, or one who is on the path of awakening, an Arya Buddha, understand that what things are fit for attention and what things are unfit for attention. Thus they do not contemplate things unfit for attention, only things fit for attention. One contemplates, this is suffering, this is the original suffering, this is cessation of suffering, this is what way leading the cessation of suffering. So quite often, most of the time, what we're actually thinking is what's happening in the world. Even when you think about Buddhism, we try to technically understand. And the Buddha says, like, look, really, Buddha's trying to teach us that the wise things to think about is considered as like, is this that these are this is the suffering, and this is how I get out of suffering, or this is how the suffering comes to an end. That is wise contemplation. And then we go into the different ways, the different enlightened ones. So we're starting with the Sotapanna, stream winner. So they are now the ones who are truly know the Dhamma. They know the suffering. You think you know the suffering? No, you don't. The stream winner knows the suffering. When you contemplate in this way of suffering, 3 fetters are abandoned in you. The view of permanent essence, skeptical doubt, and belief in Rajan rituals as sufficient in themselves to reach awakening. Those who have abandoned the 3 fetters are all stream winners, no longer subject to rebirth in a low realm and headed for full awakening. Absolute rule over the earth, going to the heaven, supreme sovereignty over all worlds. The fruit of stream winning surpasses them all. Venerable Sariputta says, there are 2 conditions for arising the right view: the word of another, an Aryan, and the work that goes back to the source, Yoniso Manasikara. There are 5 factors that build on right view and take it on to the full awakening: virtue, learning, discussion, stillness, and insight. So, these are, again, Venerable Sariputta was this very technically minded monk, and it's like he was really good at putting things in order, sort of like in this kind of like a, how would you say, fit it into like a manual sort of type. So how do you get to the right understanding? Like, what should you do? Keep meditating, meditating, meditating? It helps. But the reality, if you go to the end of all things, to the beginning, what got you to meditate in meditation? What got you into listening Dhamma? It's the word of another. So, and obviously that, hopefully it is an Aryan, but it's hard to know who are these Aryans, but that's why it's good to read the suttas, because we know they're from the Buddha, most of them. But there is an interesting story about when the Buddha asked how valuable are these good friends, as the question was there, and the Buddha says, look, it's the whole path is having a good friends. So the right view, because of the right view, comes from a good friend. The Buddha was the only one who had to discover it. Everybody else comes after that, and they are helped by the others. And the work of mind that goes back to the source. It's interesting, like the Ajahn Brahm talks about this in a sense that you might have heard him teaching here. He's always like he's asking this why. You asking questions why? Why isn't your meditation working? What is lacking in your practice, so to speak? You're going into the source. You're just asking questions in that sense. You're going into the source. And then there are 5 factors that build on the right view to sort of like what supports the right view, so to speak. And Sila is there in the beginning, and then I think sometimes different teachers say that like these kind of sequences matter, that how they come in an order. So in here you see virtue, Sila is in the beginning, learning comes second, discussion, stillness, and insight. Perhaps you could say like, okay, in this sense you could say like, maybe these sequences matter. Maybe virtue is the base. You have to first have virtue, kindness, purity of mind in order to have that learning. You won't be able to take in that learning if your mind is not clean enough yet. It's like the Buddha gives a simile some places like a cloth. If the cloth is clean, it can take the dye, but dirty old rag, which is oily, it won't be able to take the coloring, the dye too well. So that's why you need to first purify your mind, in a sense, that the sila, and then you can start learning. Then you really hear what the Buddha was teaching. And discussion is interesting that is there, and I think there's not enough discussion, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have the Word of the Buddha workshop, that we can have this kind of discussion. So it's not just question and answer as if I have all the answers, but it's also this kind of part of this discussion. And then the stillness and insight there go hand in hand in the beginning. So without the stillness, you can't have insight. And I wonder what the word there is for insight in Pali. I wonder if that's the vipassana. No. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But it's like you can think about sometimes when you read these things and you see this sequence, that it's like, oh, it's interesting. Why is it said in this kind of sequence? Why isn't it say you start with discussion things and then you learning, virtue comes there? But sometimes I think it's like maybe Buddha had something to it. Ajahn Brahm thinks that they don't matter so much. Ajahn Brahmali thinks that they do matter. We'll continue with the permanent essence a little bit. What is the view of permanent essence? Sakkaya Ditthi. Friend Visakha, one who is an Aryan cannot regard the body, experience, perception, will, or consciousnesses, which are the 5 components of existence which make you, your body and your mind, as a permanent essence, nor permanent essence as possessing any of these 5 components of existence, nor any of 5 components of existence as a within permanent essence, nor a permanent essence within any of these 5 components of existence. That's how Sakkaya Ditthi comes to be. So again, I mean, it's just a different ways of explaining. Again, there's like, how do you look permanent essence? Like, how does it come to be? What are the different ways of looking at a permanent essence? So a lot of these things that the Buddha said, he went over and over again. He was trying to explain the different situations to different people, how, for example, that permanent essence could be in your mind. And then this is, I think this is a later example. One who is an Aryan, a fully enlightened one, does not regard the mind as a permanent essence, like the flame and the hue of a lamp. Does not regard mind as possessing the permanent essence, like a tree has a shadow. Does not regard mind as within permanent essence, like a scent in a flower, and does not regard a permanent essence as within the mind, like a jewel in a casket. The mind is part of 5 components of existence, the 6th type of consciousness. So the mind, what we call the mind, it is the 6th type of consciousness. It does exist. So we have this word mind, mano, citta, again, but with this, whatever with the consciousness is, and then the mind can support the consciousness. So there's, like, you could call it, could you call it awareness? I think you can call it awareness. So there has to be awareness in there. Okay, and then word of another means the word of an Aryan, and one who's enlightened one. So we talked about spiritual friendship already. One who is shameless, reckless, and heedless will be unable to abandon disrespect, being difficult to admonish and keeping bad company. One who is disrespectful, incorrigible, what a word is that? And keeps bad company will be unable to abandon lack of faith, stinginess, and laziness. One who is lacking in faith, uncharitable, and lazy will will be unable to abandon restlessness, lack of restraint, and immorality. One who is restless, unrestrained, and immoral will be unable to abandon their fault-finding mind and their disinterest in seeing Aryans or hearing their teachings. One who is not interested in meeting Aryans does not hear the teachings of an Aryan, but has a fault-finding mind, will be unable to establish mindfulness and understanding the purpose. They will be distracted. One who is without mindfulness and understanding with the wandering mind will be unable to abandon useless train of thoughts, following the wrong path and mental sluggishness. One who wastes time on useless thinking, on following the wrong path leading to the dull mind, will be unable to abandon the view of permanent essence, skeptical doubt and belief in rites and rituals, the first 3 of the 5 basic fetters. One who has not abandoned the first 3 of the 5 basic fetters will be unable to abandon the desire for the world of the 5 senses, aversion and delusion. One who has not abandoned the desire, aversion and delusion will not be able to abandon birth, old age and death. So again, it goes into very much in this kind of sequence that where do you start? So we'll start from the beginning. So if you don't want to be told how things are, you keep in bad company, so to speak. You can have the faith has a source. The source for faith is to be in good company. So for you, if you're lacking a faith, you haven't been spending enough time with good company. And because of, if you don't have faith, you have stinginess and laziness. You cannot abandon restlessness. So if you're like, okay, if you all the time, if the world keeps you pulling you in, you're a restless person. You haven't had a mind which is able to just sort of let go in this kind of charitable mind, lazy. But the laziness is interesting, perhaps, that there's like the faith and laziness comes together in that sense as well. When you're restless, you're unrestrained and immoral, you cannot abandon the fault-finding mind. And then, so that sort of is maybe easier to understand, that is like, if you're restless all the time and you don't restrain yourself in a sense that is, you don't take time to meditate, you don't we had that workshop just now, a few weeks ago, and this restrainment came to be, and it's I find it quite difficult for us to teach for lay people what this restrainment means. But you can all know in your own life how simplicity is actually quite conducive for in this kind of spiritual path, right? Having less wishes, few things you want from the world. That kind of restrainment is conducive for morality, for good thinking. Because if you just allow the mind to go, so to speak, towards the morality, it's difficult. You won't be able to just let it go. And you become this very fault-finding. And then I do find it is like, sometimes we teach in prison, for example, and I find it difficult to teach those kind of people sometimes, because they have very, very fault-finding mind. They really struggle to drop their thinking about that, like what are these thoughts behind you? What you're teaching us, but I'm sure you're thinking of something else. I'm sure they have all these they all the time trying to project things on you as a teacher, because they spend a lot of time on their bad company, so to speak. So they cannot really trust anybody. The trust comes from spending a lot of time with good people. You trust people. And that's why the same thing is like, as keeping good sila, 5 precepts, you're a trustworthy person. You're giving a gift for others. You are person which other people can spend time with them and they can trust that you don't speak behind their backs. But if you're spending all the time, if you yourself are a gossip, you always speak behind people's backs, you don't keep this kind of kind speech and kind thinking, well, all the time when other people are in front of you, they're talking to you, you're always thinking they're going to be saying something bad behind my back. So it goes, everything is sort of follows from your own behavior, from your own sila. And then you won't be able to hear the teachings because your mind haven't been able to abandon this kind of doubt. And if you don't meet the teachers, you won't be able. One who's interested in meeting others but does not hear the teachings of Aaron, but has a fault-finding mind, will be unable to. So this was what we talked about, the fault-finding minds. This is called like the same with the fault-finding mind, and the doubt goes really hand in hand. That your mindfulness, we talked about sammasati, which is the 7th part of the Eightfold Path. Even your mindfulness, what we are actually talking about, meditation, is the 7th part. Is you cannot have a basic mindfulness is missing, because you are fault finding the breath. You are fault finding your own mind. You won't be able just to rest on that object, whatever the object the mind takes. Whether it's you're doing a meditation of different body parts, or the breath, or the contemplating impermanence, your mind is just not able to rest on it, because you have this all the time, this kind of fault-finding mind. That's why somebody who's like, if you would ask, like if somebody is further in a path, is it easier for them to meditate? It is, because they naturally don't have the fault-finding mind. They can just be at ease with it. They don't have this like strong sense of self when you meditate. And for example, you sit down and the mind naturally is very naturally into peace, in a peace of mind. So it's nice for us to, like Eddie said about, it's good to know your mind, and it is correct what Eddie was saying, that it's like you start seeing your own mind, and this is what keeps me away, for example, from meditation. You think it's like, hindrances. I was like, I have little hindrances, but these are the things which keep you away from your meditation. Why you need to go back to the source. Why isn't my meditation working? What's keeping me in this world? Why? I have these things, and if you start looking into that, these are the things which hinder me in the meditation, and these are the things which sort of pull me back into the world. You need to start working on it. One who is without mindfulness, understanding with wandering mind, will be unable to abandon useless strains of thoughts, following a wrong path and mental sluggishness. So the interesting thing, the mental sluggishness, it's, again, I'm not sure if it matters so much, but it's like, where is this in this sequence? But this kind of mental sluggishness is one of the last things which remain when you're meditating. It's just sort of like your mind tends to go into the dullness. So again, what should you do when you have dull mind? Is not to engage with it too much. Don't like push it away, because what happens, we get angry, so to speak, with it. So try to be more and more ease with whatever happens with your mind. So fetters which keep you in the world of meditation. Then we go through the simile, and this will be the last one before we take a break again, before we go to questions. This is one of the Ajahn Brahm's favorite similes. I'm not sure what this is in the original booklet, or did Ajahn Brahm added here. A stream winning and a 7 in the water simile. There are these 7 kinds of persons similar to those in water. The first one who goes underwater and drowns, meaning one with the bad qualities. Second one who floats and then drowns, meaning good at first, but then bad qualities dominate. One who floats and keeps the head above the water, meaning good qualities become even stronger. The one who looks around and sees safety, meaning the stream winner. The one who is swimming to safety, meaning once returner. The one who feels solid earth underfoot, meaning non-returner. And the one who is safe on dry land, meaning an arahant. And the idea of this simile is that basically when the 7 kinds of like these people like in a shipwreck, and the ship goes down and you either drown straight away, that you don't really have enough mindfulness to even look for escape. And this is the part this is why we meditate, practice mindfulness, go towards the good qualities, because at least we're seeking for refuge. At least we are looking around. There must be something here. It's like I cannot find it in this world. And with the bad qualities, does it mean bad qualities? It's like you. Yeah, I'm not sure, but like sometimes I think about these things like, well, what about people with, who are nice people, good people? That doesn't mean in bad qualities in a sense, but this is more like really you are drowning in this kind of delusion in a not so much goodness in your mind. But then perhaps this is the regular person would be the one who floats then drowns. At the first qualities first they float, they look around, they try to find a refuge, meaning they have the good qualities first, but then the bad qualities dominate. You haven't spent enough time with good friends. You're not established yet in this kind of like really solid sense of goodness in yourself. So it's easily easy to be sort of get reborn, and then something in the karma takes over, and then you're sort of going towards what interest in the world, and then so you drown with that. But then it's the one who floats and keeps the head above the water, meaning good qualities become even stronger. So you start as a meditator, as a mindfulness practitioner, as a Buddhist, if you so call it, meaning you keep your sila. You understand that the good qualities are the ones that like, if I'm growing in good qualities and the bad qualities are going down, I'm moving in the right path. I'm at least leaning towards finding the Dhamma again. Even if you're not a stream winner in this life, at least the good qualities have become bigger in this life. I've moved towards that direction again. So don't despair in a sense like, well, I'm not a stream winner. I don't think I will be a stream winner this life. At least you're moving towards that direction. And then it's the one who looks sees safety, meaning the stream winner. So it's like you're in the ocean, you see there's an island there. At least you see the safety. And then if you're swimming towards that is the one returner. You feel like you're something solid underneath. The interesting thing about once returner and non-returner, the difference is very, very small. They even say that non-returner might not even know that they are really non-returner yet when they're alive. So once returning and non-returning, it's very slight change there. So really to go from one to another is not apparently, it's hard to know. But Arahant knows they are Arahant. They're the one who's like in safety, that they know the work is done. But there's like these like different levels when you're walking from one to another is apparently it's a bit difficult to know. Do I go through the jhana? Okay, let's keep it there. I think it's just, again, it's afternoon, so everybody it's a bit tired, and me included. So let's take a little break, 10-minute break here, and then we continue one more session. getting close to the end of the meditation again, the last one today. Again, look at the state of mind, what you have. When you're breathing, do you want to stay with the breath? This is what your mind is. What is keeping you away from just looking at the breath? If you feel your body, can you see there's positive changes happening in your body when you've been here? You restrained yourself today, long day, doing a lot of good things. How does your body feel? What positive things has happened in your body today? What about your mind? What are the positive things that have happened today in your mind? Just by spending time here in the Buddhist society, how does it affected your mind? Now again, just breathe in 3 times, in and out, and that's the end of the meditation. Very good. There's a question online. Let me see. Yikes, I lost it. Oh, it is. I don't believe in praying, but some people say praying works for them. Like they will do fasting and transfer the merits, then their prayer works. Like they will do fasting and transfer the merits, then their prayer works. Any opinion? How does this work? And another question. Okay, no, let's do this. Well, the prayer working. Let me put it this way. So it's the same with Buddhism. We transfer merits. Quite often we do, and then it's very common to people to pour water And then there's the same way, think of the loved ones while they're doing it, to transfer the merits, to think of them, and like the same way, like the water flows from one cup to another, you transfer the merit. Hopefully the merits we have accumulated will go towards our loved ones. There's not much to be said from the basic sutta standpoint of these sharing the merits. And but there was one time where there was another practitioner went to the Buddha. He was from these other religions, so to speak, other sects, and they said, "Look, we're doing these prayers and we're doing the sharing of merits to our loved ones. Like, does it work? How does it work?" And the Buddha said that if the conditions are right, that you can share the merits. And this person said, "Well, look, if our loved ones go to these, let's say, heavenly realms, can we share merits to them?" And the Buddha said, "No, the conditions are not right." And then they said, like, "Look, if not in the heavenly realms, and they are human realm, they died and they got reborn as a human, can we share the merits with them?" And the Buddha said, "No, the conditions are not right." And they go through these different places, like, well, what if they are in animals or hell, all those things? And the Buddha said, "No, the conditions are not right." And they said, "Well, what if they're born as close to human realm, so to speak? These days we would say perhaps they are like ghosts. Can we share merits with them?" And the Buddha said, "Yes, the conditions are right." So it seems to be, it's almost like if a person dies and the mind seems to be close to this human realm, that they need the merit, so to speak, to get a better, more favorable rebirth, and they can, in that sense, they can sense they can get this merit. So it seems to be that they have to be this being has to be very, very close to human realm in order to get these merits. And then the person said, "Well, look, what if they're not born in that realm? This our relative. What are we trying to transfer the merit to?" And the Buddha said, "Look, there's going to be some of your relatives are going to be there, because we talked about this. Samsara is endless. There's no beginning. It's hard to say that there's any kind of beginning in the rounds of rebirth. That we've been born and died so many times that there's bound to be some relatives there." And they said, "Well, what if there isn't any relatives?" And the Buddha said, "Well, that's impossible. But if there is no relatives of yours there's other beings, other people's relatives. There are beings in these realms who will receive your merits." And then the Buddha says, like, even if that's not the case, even if these beings don't receive your merit, you will get the merit by doing good. So you do something nice. You come to the Buddhist society, you feed the monks and nuns, and you feel happy about that. That is good enough. You receive the merit in that sense. You help the Buddhist society, you being part of this, you receive the merit from there. It doesn't matter so much, perhaps, that whether somebody will get those merits, that they passed away, maybe they weren't born in that kind of realm where they can receive that anymore, but nonetheless, you receive the merits. So the prayer works in that sense. If you look at the word prayer, like it was asked here, that perhaps you could say that it works in the same way. It's almost like a contemplation practice, I could think, that you are sort of actively think of something, a person or something. I guess it depends what you're asking for. If you're praying for money, that wouldn't be a good thing, because perhaps you're praying to be, you're not praying to be an easily satisfied person who is at ease with little things. You're praying for wrong things, and perhaps it's hard to pray for health. Perhaps, and that again, it's not under your control, so to speak. But if you are at ease, no matter what happens, in that sense that the easiness comes to you, and when you're doing the praying, I could see that it also works. You have this kind of faith increases because you're doing the prayer. you feel good about yourself, and then because of that, the disease is subsided. Perhaps. Mind is very strong, the Buddha said. Mind can do many kind of things. So don't underestimate the power of the mind. Ajahn, can you explain about alcoholism? Can it come from bad karma? Is it a decision or a habit that continues into life? Is it a decision or habit? I would say there's probably a habit there what continues. So that's another problem perhaps with alcoholism, that if you don't end the habit, alcoholism or drug abuse or all those, that those habits continue from life to life. So that would be a very strong habit. And then it's just, there's also a few mentions about alcoholism in the suttas, whereas one person was alcoholic and they died, and the Buddha said they had a favorable rebirth. If anything, they were stream enter, and these people were like, how can it be that this person was alcoholic? And it's like, it doesn't look like they had a lot of wisdom because they were alcoholic. And the Buddha said they had a lot of faith. So you can have a lot of, you can have good qualities, and then something which is, not, so to speak, good. But if the other qualities override, even alcoholism, personally I've known a lot of alcoholic people because my mom used to volunteer with them, and they're quite often, they're troubled people who have alcoholism. They add all kind of things from their childhood, and it's hard to see maybe did it continue from the previous life. But it is a habit conducing sense that if you don't stop the habit in this life, it's definitely, that could be a habit which continues in the next life very easily. Is it bad karma? Again, habits and karma, it's difficult to tease apart sometimes. I don't know if I never thought about that in that sense. We can't really say alcoholism is bad karma, but that every decision you make is like if you, the decision of being, do you decide to be alcoholic? Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what to say. Anybody else have any questions about it?
Ajahn, I just want to understand a bit more about the three factors. Yeah, obviously, I mean, I can appreciate how deep-setting the self-view, the sakkaya ditthi, the vicikicca, the doubt of the teachings, and so on. They are deep-seated. I can appreciate that. But what about this belief in rites and rituals? This Silabbata Paramasa, I mean, obviously, it's traditionally taught us, believe in the cow rituals, in the dog rituals. But in this day and age, we are all educated, right? I mean, why is it so deep-seated and so something that disturbs me, because I still can't appreciate that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, that those times they thought that by doing certain kind of ritual in a correct way, there's like, and they were very careful about the pronunciation had to be corrected, and that's how they were doing these rituals, and then, and it's interesting that again, maybe we make too much of it, but then that they use the word sila is there, but I guess that comes from like purifying. You think your rituals alone can purify your mind or soul. You go to, if you think that, I don't know, do you want to continue on that so we can, just tell me more about it. How do you feel about it? Because we're educated, I don't really...
No, this is 21st century, right?
Yeah.
We are all, evidence-based, we seek statistics, we seek data, right? I mean, we see, I mean, we do not just do things for the sake of doing things. You know, we are not brought up that way anymore, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think we do.
We still,
I think
that's the part that is exactly what I want to ask.
Yeah.
What is that so deep-seated still?
Oh,
what
right.
Is it
What is it like? Why would it such a hindrance in that? Like,
what am I missing here? What am I missing still? Right?
I think
we don't pray for the sake of prayer. We don't chant the sutta, but for the sake of chanting the sutta, right?
But I mean, you could think about your meditation practice could be the sake of doing it. You don't really allow yourself, like, again, you're not increasing in faith in a sense that is just sort of like you trust the path to work. You are sort of, it's almost like this deep-seated idea that you're fighting this sort of like, I don't think meditation really works well, how the Buddha was saying. I don't think, we think we can intellectualize things, and that's perhaps, could that be a ritual we're doing? It was like we intellectualizing things these days. But I think meditation can become very ritualized. And you don't contemplate enough of that, like what's missing on what, like why can't I get, what's keeping me away from deep meditation? So something is keeping me away, but you don't look into the causes really into it. It becomes like a ritual you do, but you don't wholeheartedly do the practice as the Buddha was teaching. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is my experience. I haven't read it anywhere or anything like that. In Sri Lanka, there are some generations of people who make a living out of conducting rituals in the guise of making offerings to the either higher beings or some aspect of Dhamma as well, sometimes, unfortunately, misguiding people. And they make money. And that is their way of living. And they don't want to let go of it. And their children and children's children, they take it, and it goes on generation to generation. This is something I have observed in Sri Lanka.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, these are cultural things, and that's for you. And I was like, I come from this tradition, so I don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is something pervasive that the Buddha
exactly.
is talking,
then you have to find it for yourself. I mean, in your life is different, and my life is different. I should be asking, what are these rites and rituals for me, which I keep doing for me. That's why I keep harping over the meditation. It has become, perhaps for me, just a ritual I do, and I'm not growing in other parts of that in my practice enough. Of that, like the Buddha's path, so to speak. And of course, I mean, I can clearly see that is, the way Buddhism is being taught in many places is mere rituals. I mean, giving money is good enough. What do you just pay your way out of the samsara?
Yeah, but those are considered as cultural accretion, right? I mean, those are culture.
But you don't do those, exactly.
This is talking about every individual, right? Every human, okay?
Yeah.
It's every.
Do you have any kind of like insight? What could it be for you? What would be your rites and rituals you do, which is really hindering you in this path?
That's why I'm asking. I wonder what am I missing? I'm doing all the minimal compliance, okay? Yeah, the 8 precepts, the meditation. Making sure I take all.
But are you doing it ritualistic? Are you doing it 8 precepts ritualistic? Are you doing studying by intellectually studying? Are you growing in a faith in a sense that the sweetness of your heart is growing? Are you growing in kindness, generosity? Are you merely giving ritualistic, or are you giving in a sense that that it uplifts your mind? Are you doing those things? Maybe there's rituals there.
But I think it's called time in the practice. With time, you can see that with time, slowly it improves.
Yep.
Yeah, the time.
So that's why you're lessening that sila.
Yeah. It's very clear. It's clear. It's clear cut.
Yeah.
And even other people can see that it's clear cut. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just time in the practice. Yeah.
And you put in the effort, and then you are leaning towards that kind of where you become, where you naturally you look at your mind as like, I'm a generous person, I'm a kind person.
More generous, kinder.
I'm more generous, I'm more kind, I'm more easily satisfied, I'm more, and then like I trust myself, I can meditate. I trust that there is enlightened ones.
That much is clear cut to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you trust that you can meditate? You have full faith on yourself?
No. No, I just sit, right? I mean, and Ajahn Brahm promised me he's doing my sitting for me. Just my job is to sit.
Yeah, and it's true. Yeah, just don't worry about it. What should you do? Just
taught
sit.
Me. Yeah.
But again, I mean, it is we perhaps looking into the finer aspects of deep-seated things that maybe it is just a little bit of ritual for you, but at least you are undermining it.
Yeah, I'm setting 1 hour, okay?
Yeah.
I don't block myself, okay? I don't shift. I don't move away, okay? Making every day, I do it, okay?
Okay, keep that in mind and ask Ajahn Brahm and let us all know what's there.
And even the Chinese side would teach the same thing. I mean, how many futon have you eroded? We sit, right?
Yeah.
How many have you eroded?
Right.
Yeah, you just count that one. How many have you eroded? Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I think with the meditation, because it's we do promote it a lot, and of course it is important. But then in the suttas, there are people who, like the Buddha just told them, like do contemplation practice almost. That's what it looks like, at least from the suttas, that you're just seeing things fading away, impermanence. Just keep looking at it into the nature of things, and they got enlightened from there. So it's like maybe seems to be that there were other practices as well, and the Buddha had gave others other instructions. But the nice thing about breath meditation is that itself, as a mindfulness practice, takes you all the way to the end. So you don't need other practices.
And since you asked me, right? I mean, and this comes from Ajahn Brahmali, Ajahn Brahm to me. I mean, you talk about I'm not even as advanced as you say, doing samasati, as far as I'm concerned. I'm just doing sama vayama, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they told me.
Refraining.
Yep, even the sitting is just vayama, okay? You are just starting.
Yeah.
Just starting, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, amma bante, okay.
Yeah. Why isn't there happiness growing in your mind? It's one of those deep-seated things where we should, to look really honestly look into the mind. Is like, why isn't this contentment growing in my mind? What are the good qualities I should enhance, promote, make more of? Yeah, it's good to look into those things.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I say something about the rites and rituals as known to me, Okay?
It's known to you.
As known to me, okay. You see, in Tibetan Buddhism, there's a lot of rites and rituals, okay? In Mahayana Buddhism, also they have to, all the prayers, all this ancestor, blah, blah, In Theravada Buddhism, not so much, but we have to, like all this flower puja and all this, we have, So, let me continue, okay, In Tibetan Buddhism, the aim is not towards enlightenment, The aim is towards bodhicitta, That they want to rescue all beings first before they attain enlightenment. So they have these rites and rituals, okay? Mahayana Buddhism, there's more towards like a peaceful, okay. Whereas Thera Buddhism, the Buddha, the teaching, okay, his idea is like rites and rituals are a hindrance, because if you concentrate on the rites and rituals, he wants you to the Buddha wants us to not only like understand his teaching, but to practice his teaching, the mind, blah, 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 all these things, not rites and rituals, If you do rites and rituals, these things, you can't gain, So that's why it's a hindrance, right, and rituals. The Buddha was referring to the Thera thing, maybe, rites and rituals. It's a hindrance. Some people just they just go to, just do the prayer, all this in the puja, they think that's a Buddhism. No, it's deeper.
Yeah, Ajahn Brahm put it quite nicely in the brackets there, that alone, mere rites and rituals, you think that's enough. So that's, we keep in mind that, like, look, it's not hindrance in the sense that if you use it correctly.
It's not, that's right. It's not a hindrance. Just a little bit, that's fine. It's, if
It's
it
like
can
your
aid you in
it's
your
like
path
your
towards
alcohol
enlightenment,
practice.
that's fine.
A little bit
little
of
bit.
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yes.
A little bit of alcohol is fine. Yes, but it's sort of in the same line, Eddie, that we were discussing. But the previous question is like, for us as intellectual, educated, living in the Western countries, what would be our these are rites and rituals for us? Sure, this is in Tibetan Buddhism, this is Mahayana Buddhism, but here and now for us, as individuals, what would be my rites and ritual for me personally, as a lived experience? So it is interesting to look at it in that sense. No, I'm not. I'm just, I'm not. But I'm just saying that it's like, I know what you're saying, but we were discussing in a level of like more like individual level, and as us, like. But I mean, it's the same interesting question that what the Yama asked when this person went and passed away, and they asked when your karma is ripening, when you're going to that between the lives, that it's like you're wise and educated person. Did you notice that there's old age, death, and old age sickness and death in the life, and you were like, well, I noticed. I didn't really pay attention to that. I wasn't mindful enough. So we are like, oh, we educated. Yes, I'm smart person. Look, I gone through the universities and this and that. Well, yes, you are educated. Well, don't you then understand that there's old age, sickness, and death? Yeah, well, I sort of know it. Do you? Do you really contemplate it? Do you really, really know it with wisdom that this is ahead of you? Or are you just wasting your time? So the wisdom that you have wisdom, and there's wisdom and there's wisdom. That's maybe how it is.
One more question. I'm back to my pet peeve about free will, and looking at that sentence from the screen, which says, suffering exists but no sufferer. So would it be possible to say that free will exists but not free willer? And in fact, free will is a form of suffering, which you also have to abandon, in a way.
Free will, it's alone would exist, is what he's saying? There's like without a person?
I said, as the sentence says there, suffering exists but no sufferer. So if instead of suffering we put free will exists, but no person who free wills it. So in a way, suffering and free will is a synonym, or free will is a subcategory of
suffering. It is part of all of those khandhas. It's not just the will part.
Yeah.
Like everything what constitutes you as you, the different parts of your body and your mind, anything you look, it is a suffering. So yes, you can read in there that, mere suffering, a meaning, will exist, but no sufferer or willer can be found. Yes. Yep.
Just a point Eddie mentioned, he said that the Tibetan tradition doesn't head towards enlightenment. Well, Khandra La, who is one of the top lay teachers in Tibetan Buddhism, stresses that it's important to reach enlightenment because then that's the way you can teach others clearly. So that's quite not correct, Eddie.
It's hard to look. I've also met some Tibetan teachers, and they have different understanding what nirvana is. For example, they have 3 different kinds of nirvanas, and to tease it apart for us. Perhaps not. I'm not educated enough to say what they mean by that. Even if they say it's important to reach nirvana, which one of those 3 you're talking about? But look, so I don't know. Good, but what they mean by sometimes the words have also changed in the different ideas. But maybe they mean the same nibbana was as we do, but I doubt it. Enlightenment, but yeah. Again, I don't know. But thank you for mentioning. I'm sure there's some of them, when they talk about enlightenment, they mean the same enlightenment as we do. But again, some of the teachings are very, very, they take it very differently than what we teach. So, I don't know. But and even for us, when we say enlightenment, do you mean somebody who's a stream mentor and then you can teach? Or do you mean somebody who's, arahant, then you can teach? What does he really mean? There's different what? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the different schools of Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah. Let's not go too much into the Eddie.
I think we need to move on, Ajahn. We're not discussing Tibetan Buddhism
here.
Yeah,
exactly.
What do you want to discuss, Eddie? Quickly?
The guy just not brought. I was going to ask this question earlier, but just now the guy said, talking about freedom, Ajahn Mudito. Yeah, I always said in Buddhism, there's freedom for me in Buddhism, okay? For example, okay, the 5 precepts, the 5 precepts is, I undertake to observe the 5 precepts to the best of my ability. I repeat, to the best of my ability. Mm-hmm. The 5 precepts is not thou shall not. Thou shall not means you have no freedom, okay? You cannot do it, your thing. Yeah. And there's different. Thou shall not, and to the best of my ability. Yeah. So the best of that's why I have freedom.
Thank you.
In Buddhism, so are you too. You can become a monk. You can disrobe anything, anytime or what. You have freedom. Other religions you can't. Bad things will happen to you and all these things. You have your freedom too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. True.
But please don't disrobe, Ajahn Mudito. Maybe we ask Eddie not to ask those questions then. That's why he has freedom, I know.
So I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we are still in the first part of the Eightfold Path, and we only have 1 day left. And today we only have not so much left here today even. Then we're gonna have a little break, and then there's the afternoon meditation. But then I was looking at it, and I do know that the first part of the right view in the noble, it's important, and it's a really long chapter. And so I wanted to go back as a little bit to the end. So dependent origination. So we've gone through many places now that there is no really self anywhere to be found. We established that. All of you know now. You have no doubt that there is no self anywhere. But dependent origination is such an important part of this. So if you're looking for the book, it's page 56. Hang on, is there dependent origination? It's like, okay, we can start from there. From just before that. If there is a view, the permanent essence and the body are the same, there is no living the holy life. And if there's a view, the permanent essence is one thing and the body is another, there is no living the holy life. Without veering towards either one of these extremes, the Buddha teaches Dhamma by the middle, dependent origination and dependent cessation. Everything's cause and conditions. Page 56. One who seeks dependent origination and the cessation sees the Dhamma. One who sees the Dhamma sees dependent origination and cessation. How does this all come to be? Why are we reborn? With with delusion as a cause, will comes to be. Volitional formations or choices comes to be. With the will as cause, consciousnesses. With consciousnesses as cause, name and form, the object of consciousness. The name and form as a cause, the six sense bases. With the six sense bases as a cause, the sensory contact. With the sensory contact as a cause, experience. With the experience as a cause, wanting. With the wanting as a cause, feel. With the field as a cause, states of existence. With the states of existence as cause, rebirth. With the rebirth as a cause, old age, death, sorrow, crying, pain, unhappiness, and distress come to be. Such is the origin of all this whole mass of suffering. With no God, no Brahma can be called the maker of life. Empty phenomena roll on dependently on conditions all. But when a meditator has abandoned delusion, aroused true knowledge, then with the fading away of delusion and the rising of true knowledge, one does not generate good willing things. You don't make good choices. You don't make demeritorious volitions, choices, or a neutral volition, meaning this is really karma. But with this remainderless fading away and cessation of delusion comes cessation of will. With cessation of will, cessation of consciousness. With the cessation of consciousness, cessation of name and form. And so we go to the end with the starting from the cessation of delusion, you gain all the way to the cessation of rebirth, old age, death, sorrow, crime, pain, unhappiness, distress, and cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. House builder, you have been seen, you shall not build your houses, no houses again. Your rafters have been broken, and your cables are torn. Thrown of course, the mind, citta will be destroyed here. Without any doubt, mind, you shall be destroyed. So we, again, to break this cycle of rebirth, to become really a stream winner to begin with, the delusion has to come to an end. Because from delusion, that wrong view, what we're going through, this kind of the first part of the Eightfold Path, that the one thing comes to be. We talked about the thirst, and from the willing, when you cease to make choices, the consciousness cannot function. It cannot sustain itself. So you are choosing the world. You are choosing to either. Quite often it goes within, there's like you're pushing away something, I don't like it, or you like it, you hold on to it. So with that kind of consciousness, what it means that there is no like one consciousness. Everything within your body and mind sustains it because you are choosing to sustain those things. And the world, so to speak, it's interesting here when it comes that when you have the 6 sense bases and the sensory contact and the experience, all of those things, if you take those there, it's just sort of like, you could think about it this way. You create the world, so to speak. Because of your wanting, the world comes to be. So the world itself is not, it's not like there's some kind of pure seeing, so to speak. It's not like you see as, for example, just a very, very, very simple example. It's like you want to see something beautiful. It's not like it's objectively beautiful. It is your willing, your choosing makes that. You choose to be wanting go towards that sense contact of being human. So that one thing starts fading away. That's why we talk about all the time this kind of like, you don't play around so much with the 5 senses. You become a person which is disinterested. Ajahn Brahm actually talks about the nibbida all the time, revulsion. The turning away starts being so strong that anything you see in the world, you don't want nothing to do with it. And it's not a revulsion in the sense that you see like everything is ugly and is pushing away. No, that turning away is different kind of turning away. It's just sort of like it's disinterested in the sense of the kama loka, the form, not form, but in any kind of existence. It's really off-putting to you, because what you see birth, old age, death, sorrow, crying, pain, unhappiness, and distress. Whatever you look, that's what you see. If I start messing about with this, the more I hold on to it, the stronger of that attachment to that. This is where I'm going. So it's almost like it. Sometimes I think it's like it's like an override mechanism, but it's very, very automatic for people who are on the path. I'm sure they see beauty, this kind of beautiful things in the world, but it's sort of like it's automatically overridden by their wisdom. That's why it feels to me. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but it's sort of like they could see that the mind could get attached to that, but it's automatically overridden. They just don't grab any of that. What we always we feel this kind of idea of like, oh, this is interesting. We want to have this contact. We want to have the consciousness belongs to us. With the interesting thing with the delusion and the fading away is really, again, we talked about this earlier, but then the first break of the egg is that when you start seeing the delusion, that you don't see the self anywhere there. That is the first sort of breaking the egg. You start breaking that cycle, is that you're seeing as this, it is just a cause and conditions coming to being, and you just sort of, just by seeing that truth completely, like truly for yourself, then you are starting to just lose interest. It's like, okay, if it's just these cause and conditions, you cannot be grasping into those things, because it's sort of like you're holding on straws. You just sort of hold, this sinking ship, you try to bail out of it, but you just sort of like, well, there's no point. So it starts rolling faster and faster towards moving away from the world. So that's it's almost like an idea, like once you start getting into deep meditation, that feels itself. What's the cause for deep meditations? There are deep meditations. The beginning, it's those kind of like we sort of do this and that. We try to keep up basic goodness in life. We don't mess around with too much with the 5 senses, the world of 5 senses. And then you get into the deep meditation a little bit. But then once you start getting in there, those experiences are so deep they start sucking you in more and more into that meditation. So it's a bit of the problem with chicken and egg. It's just sort of like you need to get one to get it to. You almost need to get there in order to get it again. So the problem with those things is sort of like we don't really know how to get there until you get there. Then you knew how you got it. How do you got there? So we just sort of stumble in the dark. Try to listen what the teachers are saying. Try to do this and that. But again, it's a little bit what I was telling Eddie, that we almost with our own thinking mind, we think about our own thinking. We try to think outside of our own self. Like it's impossible to outsmart yourself. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what Ajahn Brahm is trying to tell all the time. Don't mess with it. Just drop it. Don't outsmart yourself. You're just grasping on straws. It doesn't work. You're just messing the process. And it goes into that deep meditation, but it's just sort of this letting go process starts happening more and more. So perhaps a lot of our biggest hindrance for most of us here and now is just that we use that reasoning too much. We've been taught to reason all the time. And if anything, I talked to Ajahn Brahm because he didn't seem to have a lot of problems as a meditator. Honestly, he's been, I call him very lucky. He said, don't call me lucky. It's a wrong way of addressing, what happened with him. So I asked him one time, like, well, what was your biggest hindrance? You didn't seem to have a lot of these other ones. He said, it is just because I was always trying to reason too much. He's one of these super, minds. And these days, perhaps he's losing his wits a little bit. And in a sense that he's just, getting old. So he's still a smart person and all that, but he was a super reasoning person before. So he was always trying to reason everything, and that's what was keeping him from the deep meditations. So these days, perhaps see as your reasoning, your thinking mind as a problem. Even if you want to ask questions all the time, there's no end to these questions. Somebody went to Ajahn Dan one time, and they were have all these questions, and they were asking all these questions. And Ajahn Dan just told his students, look, all these questions, there is no end to that. There is no end to questions. Only thing you have to do, drop it. And then it's I like what Ajahn Kanha says, that is anything we study in the world, it doesn't have end. It doesn't lead you to an end. But Dhamma has an end. Dhamma, the more you study Dhamma, you practice it, it's taking us to the end. This is what the Buddha's teaching are trying to teach us. It takes us to the end. Anything in the world, it's endless. We all know it. There's always more to be studied, more to be reasoned with, more to be argue in the world, more to sort of we get information. Will it ever end? No. It will never end. But studying Dhamma will take you to the end. And that's the first part of the Eightfold Path. How do you which leads you to the cessation of suffering. And I think it's a good place as any to stop it there, because we only have half an hour before the meditations. That's 3 o'clock. 40 minutes. Eddie, can we take your questions tomorrow? I think you're used. Every person has 3 questions. Every person has 3 questions. Eddie, how many you went through today?
No, because you were talking about Ajahn Brahm's style is jhana.
It is. I'm not going into Vipassana today. Tomorrow we're talking about motivation. We're going to Vipassana. There is thinking. Yes. Yeah, okay. We're here to teach Ajahn Brahm's teachings. Yeah. No, just joking. Yeah. Good. And it's good that you're excited about it, and it's all that, one of us is awake. Yeah. I think I won't take any more questions today. It seems to be when my mind is a bit unsharp now. So we'll continue tomorrow, 9 o'clock. In 40 minutes we will have a meditation. If you want to stay for the meditation, and anything, Lehar, you want to announce? By the way, anybody who thinking of coming for breakfast tomorrow to feed the monks are going to be walking on the beach. Maybe. Now we're going for dana. We might go for a walk, but so that was it for today. So thank you for coming, and it's nice to see you again, everybody. So sadhus. Should we pay respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha? Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhus.